Brothers and sisters, today is not for a long homily because the readings are very self-explanatory. But there are a few points to be made. The first part of the readings we had today was very celebratory, and that is the triumphant entry of Jesus into Jerusalem, where they hailed him and they were praising God and acclaiming him king. But shortly after, the people turned and they accused him wrongly. They punished him, stoned him, spat on him. People betrayed him, even his followers. And when you look at the story, both from the celebration of his triumphant entry to his suffering and death and crucifixion, I think it shows us, for us, exactly who we are, who we humans are. Because on one hand, you could find people praising you, and before you know it, you are betrayed. It shows up who we are. So there are a few questions, but before those questions, let us look at how Jesus followed through the Passion. During the celebration and his praise, he was very, very focused. He was laser focused on the plan, so as not to derail the will of God. He did not let the praise get into his head to the extent of compromising, to the extent of dropping the standard. And when they started punishing him, he remained focused as well on the plan of God. In fact, he even prayed for the people. He healed somebody whose hair had been cut off at the peak of his suffering. So the questions for us is, when I enjoy praise, when people praise me, does it get into my head to the extent of compromising, to the extent of not staying with the truth? How do I compromise when I get praised? And on the other hand, when people reject me, how do I react to it? Do I become bitter? Do I exercise love? Am I able to withstand long suffering in the name of Christ? When we listen to the readings, it is very easy to just think, oh yes, these things happened 2,000 years ago. So just punished and crucified Jesus. But the theme, if you recall, the theme of the Jubilee year 2000 was Jesus the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. Meaning Jesus is outside of time. He is outside of time. And in answering those questions, how we react to praise or misjudgment, of it, that Jesus is outside of time. And then you could take those questions further to say, am I, in my action, still crucifying Jesus? Because if Jesus is outside of time, then he is still being crucified even today, because in this present day, we have people who reject him. We have people who betray him. We have ourselves sometimes failing him. And on each of these occasions, if he is outside of time, then we are also crucifying him all over again. Now, first, in the gospel reading on the first Sunday of Lent, that gospel reading ended with that the devil went to return back at a later time. And you will see, you heard when he was on the cross, the devil returned in the person of one of the prisoners that was crucified. Remember, one of his tests on the mountain was, throw yourself down if you are the Son of God. And what did the prisoner say? If you are the Son of God, save yourself. So the Satan returned. And when we experience our failures and we find ourselves crucifying Jesus again, or we are rejected, or people treat us badly, remember that if the devil could return to test Jesus again, he will return multiple times to test us. Pope Gregory the Great, in the year 590 AD, wrote a reflection, and he said, it is impossible to imagine any purer form of prayer, purer form of prayer being said than the one that is said when someone is persecuting you. When you are being persecuted, as Jesus did when he was being persecuted, he prayed for his persecutors. And Pope Gregory said, there's no other form of prayer that can be holier than the prayer that is said when you are under persecution. So when you find yourself failing, hang to him. Imitate him. Imitate him. Say a prayer for your persecutor. Say a prayer for someone who is betraying you. And in that, you are imitating. In that reflection, Pope Gregory went on to say that if, and I will end with this, if the sacrament of the Passion of Christ is to take full effect in us, then we must imitate what we receive and proclaim what we revere. Because Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore.